Hey everyone, it's me Shimon and welcome to the third episode of yet another tech podcast. This episode is not sponsored by Dyson. Use offer code Shimon to get 0% off. So, moving forward, the last episode was all about MWC, and today, for this week, I've got everything about Android P. Is it going to be Pancake? Is it going to be Peppermint? Only time will tell. But in the meantime, let's have a discussion like what Android P is all about. So, Android, the operating system on probably your current smartphone right now. So, it's currently at 8.1 Oreo. So, Oreo is a pretty good iteration of the OS, and I really loved using it. And finally, Google has dropped the Android P developer preview. So, it's DP1 right now. And if the release cycle is to be taken into consideration, DP2 will come in like first week of May, with DP3 with final APIs in like first week of June, DP4 in third or fourth week of June, and then DP5 close to like third or mid-July, and then the final release will be in Q3, and I guess it'll be like a few weeks prior to Pixel 3's launch, which by the way is going to mark like 10-year anniversary of the first Android device, which is the HTC Dream. So that is really, really awesome. Anyways, so Android P brings out some really cool features, and not only in terms of like usability features, but also aesthetically, like new interface, new ways to do, access your data and all. It's a lot. So without going through every bit of info, like Android Police has done a great coverage on it. So just Google them; they have ton of data on it. So today I'm just going to talk about like some of the key changes and the changes which like resonated with me. So one of the interesting things which, you would find right up the corner, like once you use it, is the interface has changed a lot. Like, it's all rounded, you see more circles, it's more colorful, and for the better or worse, it's doing away from it's looking a bit like TouchWiz, but not as bad as TouchWiz, but it's moving into a design language which is like combining Android with Fuchsia OS, if you remember that, which is like whole new gesture-based OS. So it's pretty interesting move. Like if you see into some settings in Android P, you will see that it has some transition effects which kind of mimics the transition effects from the iPhone 10. It's interesting, and if I recall correctly, 9to5 Google had a exclusive of sorts where they claimed that the next build of Android P, that will be like DP2 or something, which is like a few months away, it will include gesture-based navigation system like on the iPhone 10, swiping up from the bottom for home, something from far back, I guess. It's like if you swipe from the left edge of the screen, you'll go back, so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see, because currently I feel that the navigation buttons are doing fine for now, but hey, some people are like, oh, gesture-based navigation system is the way to go. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so coming to Android P DP1, if you have a supported device, go ahead and install if you can manage, because if it's the only daily driver you have, I would suggest not to install it, because it's still developer preview. It's not optimized yet. Okay, so one of the current trends is like having notches in the display, because hey, everybody's running towards the bezel-less future, so might as well just include the notch, huh? Just following path of the iPhone X or iPhone 10 for that matter. So Android P is like natively supporting notch displays. Like it all kickstarted with the Essential phone. They literally like developed an in-house solution for the Android thing. So they had to like enlarge the status bar so that they could house the camera notch. It was neat, and somewhat Android P is doing the same thing. So you have the option of small notch, wide notch, narrow notch. It's there. So for accommodating the notch, they have like switched the time from right hand side of the screen to left hand side, which is like from top right to top left. It's a bit jarring because right since the inception of Android, we're used to seeing time on the top right corner. Now it's on the top left. That's a bit odd. And Android P is coming with some really neat tricks up its sleeve. Like, for the first thing, finally, the master volume is going to be governed by media volume. So whenever you access the volume, like currently, it will change the volume of your ringtone, right? And then you can go to the drop down menu and suggest, then change the media volume accordingly. From P onwards, it's going to be like master volume will be media, and then you will get a small option below by which you can govern the ringtone volume. And mind you, it's going to be vertical now. So depending upon the location of your volume buttons, that will kind of govern the volume settings. It's going to be tricky for some OEMs because OEMs like HTC, Google, Motorola, or even Sony, they have the volume rockers on the right, or the volume buttons on the right. Okay, so if you're primarily right-hand user, so that'll be easy for you because the vertical bar will be on the right hand of the screen. Now take the example of OnePlus or Samsung. Their volume rockers are on the left, so once you press that, it'll be on your left hand side of the screen. And suppose you have to increase the volume to something, you have to stretch your thumb all across the left hand side of the screen, unless you're a lefty. So there's that. That's kind of one step forward, one step back, because in earlier builds, it still is. It's the master volume is right up on the top, so it's kind of universal. But this was kind of introduced in Oreo 8.1, where if you hold the power menu, you get the power menu according to the location of your power button, right? So in Pixel 2, Pixel 1, Pixel 2, Pixel 2 XL, the button is on the top right corner, right? The power button. So the power menu originates from that location. Nokia 8 has the option. It has the power button on right hand side middle, just like the HTC 11. So in that smartphone, the power button comes a little bit down, not as high as Pixel 2. So that really helps. The menu are more contextual based now, so that's really interesting. Moving on, we have some really new changes coming towards the UI and the UX aspect of Android P. So remember those quick replies on Allo? Like, you would get the reply suggestions and the notifications. So now that's coming via an app of sorts, and you'll get some more smart replies, and you'll get to see some inline photos in various apps. So it'll be literally built into Android and not specific to some apps. And on top of that, you'll also get screenshot editing features, which will implemented via third party from OEMs. Like Samsung used to do it, even HTC introduced it in U11 Plus, which trickled down to U11, and now the OEMs have been doing this, and it's good to see finally this seems to be a basic feature, and finally Google is adopting it into Android P, so that's good. And then with the introduction of Bluetooth 5.0 in multiple devices, now you can have simultaneous connection up to 5 Bluetooth audio devices. Now, talk about having a party. It'll be amazing, seriously. And when you're selecting text on Android, it can be a bit cumbersome if you don't know how exactly you can select text and all. But now it's allowing you to zoom into the photo. Not zoom into the photo, but zoom into the text that you're selecting. It will show you a zoom lens of sorts, and it is actually on iOS since forever, literally from the first iteration of iOS. Not sure, I'm not an iOS guy, but yeah, I know that the text zoom thingy or the zoom lens thingy was already there on iOS. So there's that. Have you ever faced a situation where your rotation lock is off, but you're if only for this instance I could turn it off or make an exception? So that's going to be in Android P. So suppose you're watching a video, right? You're in portrait mode, your rotation lock is on, and you just turn your phone sideways. You would expect that it won't turn, but once you do it, you'll see an icon in the navigation bar showing that, hey, your phone is sideways, but your rotation lock is on. So, do you want to rotate the display or not? So, it'll give you the option. You can just tap on it, and it'll rotate the display for you for that instance. So, that's really, really cool. And even more than that, even the pixel launcher has changed. It's shaded now as opposed to having a gradient. So in Pixel 2, there was a gradient from the bottom of the display, middle of the display, or more like bottom third. So there was that. The gradient looked a bit odd, and I'm thankful of sorts that they're moving to a shaded part. And the best thing would be to remove the shaded part entirely. But it's for the reason that once you swipe it up, or you can just make a demarcation like, hey, you have to swipe up from here, and then you'll get the app drawer. So I guess that maybe they're moving towards that. Who knows? This discussion can go on and on and on, and this episode won't really end. So I've got to draw a line somewhere. So for full list of all the Android P features, you can head over to androidrelease.com. Like, I'm not being paid or sponsored by them. I just found out that they have really concise article on everything around Android P, and it's really great. So if you have any questions, or feedback to give me, don't forget to tweet at me. Yeah, it's @Shimon IPS. Don't ask about the story, it's dumb. But yeah, you can tweet at me, or just hit me up on social media. Anyway, you can find me, and regardless of whichever platform you're listening on, whether it's Anchor, Google Play Music, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, whatever it is, like, share, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll see you next week. I'm really going to try and keep it strict to a weekly schedule, and I hope your device gets Android Pancakes soon. Yes, I love calling it Pancake for some reason. Anyways, it's been good. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.